Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller Forecast for Aries for April 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, see what's new on my blog, and while you're there, sign up for my free email newsletter, which gets you a write-up of the astrology that's coming a month early. So what's going on in the month of April? First of all, we have birthdays. For the rest of you who already didn't have your birthdays, you know I'm a huge birthday freakazoid. I love birthdays. Birthday wishes are astrological. When the sun gets to the same place that it was at when you were born, that same degree, a portal opens for your desires, and that's where birthday wishes come from. So you do get 10 birthday wishes. You can see my video called Making Wishes Come True. It actually has a longer title, but if you just search for Making Wishes Come True and Annie, you will pull up my video and my corresponding blog, which will help you to use your birthday wishes. But the basic gist of it is you want to write down your wishes, you want to say them out loud, and you want to feel them as if they're coming true, as if they've already come true. Your mind doesn't really know the difference between the past, present, and future events, and the more you bring a future event that you want to happen into your being, the more your subconscious mind seeks to create that experience. So, maximize your birthday wishes. So what else is going on in the month of April? We've still got this really long retrograde focus that started in December. So it's like being the earthworm, going back over soil, fine-tuning it, making it really fertile for the future. It's a time to wrap up unfinished business, and you'll see at the end of the month, as Mars gets into Gemini, we're starting to get a hint of the busyness and the moving forward that is getting ready to burst. But this month, we still have quite a bit of things to wrap up. Now, it's confusing because when the planets are in Aries, especially for Aries energy, it feels like all circuits are on go. But you'll see that there's still this wink to the past that's occurring because Venus is retrograde until the middle of the month, April 15th. Mercury goes retrograde again, April 9th through May 3rd. So it's, it's still very much a time to not force anything forward, and you can make active movement on things, but just try to be prudent as far as long-term things, because you're still kind of working with things that have to do with shorter term windows than you might be anticipating. But the energy is going to open up soon into May and June and most of July for pushing things forward, so you can just be very busily getting things ready for your launches. So there is an area of your chart called the North Node. When you look at the North Node of a natal chart, this shows us the areas of highest expression in this lifetime. I don't let anyone get through a reading with me, nor do I let any of my apprentices let anyone get through a reading with them without adequately addressing the North Node, because we need to let people know, we need to know ourselves. What is our highest expression in this lifetime? What are we doing here? What is our purpose? What is the path of our most bliss? So that's the natal placement. So when you look at the transiting North Node in your horoscope chart, it's showing short-term keys to your bigger, longer-term purpose. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. For you early degree placements, so basically March-born Aries, or the first 10 or so degrees of the sign if you're watching for your rising sign, your transiting North Node is focusing on your 6th house. So what this is telling you is your organization, your efficiency, your streamlining, your health, these are all 6th house things, are the keys to your higher expression. So daily practices like walking and meditating every day, streamlining your efforts so that you're not wasting energy, working smarter instead of harder. Sometimes I'll reference this, one of my favorite books ever by Timothy Ferris called The 4-Hour Work Week. And while I will admit I did not go down to a 4-hour work week after reading that book, I did significantly change completely how I do work and adjust my work hours very notably. And I think you will too if you read it. But one of the things he points out there that I want to bring up for anyone who is, this feels true for, but especially you early degree placements, as this key to your highest expression is transiting in this place, has to do with picking 2 things every day that are the things you're avoiding to do on your list. So if you have 20 things on your list and you dance around doing these other things, keeping yourself busy, passing your day, looking back at your day, saying, what the heck did I do all day? And even get done what I really needed to do, you're not using your energy efficiently. What he recommends is pick out those 2 things or those couple of things, whatever it is, several things, that if you did those, you would feel like you had really gotten somewhere. Those are usually the things you're avoiding by dancing around with the other things on your list. Then you do those things first thing and it changes your life, so you get in the habit of picking out those most effective to-do things and doing those instead of all the rest of the busyness, the static. For you middle and late degree placements, so basically the rest of you, Aries placements, the transiting North Node for you is in the 5th house. And that is bringing one of the most important keys to your happiness and highest expression and making more time for fun. I'm going to put this on the list for all Aries placements though, because there's a massive amount of energy in the 1st house for all of you. And the 1st house has to do with vibrant physical manifestation, just expression, movement, self-care, your image, all of that. And it's a very fiery energy that jives with this 5th house where this transiting North Node is for most of you, which happens to have everything to do with creativity and children and fun. So making more time for fun, working more on creative projects, working creativity more into your daily life, having more of a childlike wonder for your life, seeing through the eyes of a child, not being childish, but childlike, this childlike wonder. It's on my list for you guys. Something else that I want to talk about has to do with a longer term transit, that this started well before April and will go on well after April. And this has to do with Saturn. The reason I'm bringing up Saturn now is because Saturn goes retrograde this month. And when it goes retrograde, it brings a little bit of it can often bring a little bit of a relaxation, a peace to the lessons it has been pushing for so long, a little bit of a break, basically. Saturn is the taskmaster. It wants discipline, hard work. It brings hard lessons. It can bring things to fruition, but only through hard work. And for all Aries placements, you're experiencing this in the 9th house, all early, middle, and late degree. The 9th house has to do with your bigger picture. It has to do with your philosophy on life. And so many people with Aries placements have been having their belief systems tested mercilessly by Saturn. Like, okay, well, you're sure about that? Here, let's test that. Let's test that theory. Oh, okay, so that feels good to you. That makes sense. That brings coherence into your life. Okay, let's throw a wrench in that. That's a big part of what Saturn has been doing. So you might get a little bit of a break from those tests to your belief systems as Saturn is in retrograde from the beginning of April through August 25th. And some other things that Saturn could be doing is fine-tuning all 9th house efforts. Saturn doesn't just bring challenges and obstacles. Saturn can bring fruition and manifestation and things gelling in a super awesome long-term way. So especially for those of you for whom 9th house efforts are a big part of your life, which I'll list what those are, this could be bringing important things in a permanent way for you that you're working on as it relates to teaching, learning, writing, publishing, international business, connecting with an international community, different countries, different cultures, different languages, spirituality, religion, the studies of these things. So if your work or your hobbies or any kind of focus is in any of those areas, if you're very involved with your church, or if you're a teacher, or if you're working on bringing out coursework, any of these things that I've listed, Saturn could be very busily giving you lots of tasks to actually bring this to a higher level in a very permanent way with long-term gains. But in any case, as Saturn is retrograde, you'll probably get a little bit of a break. So don't hesitate to take that break. If it looks like everything is kind of on autopilot or there's nothing you can really tend to, and it just feels like the energies are still going backwards as they are in April. Aries energy is moving forward, always wants to move forward. or do something, right? Just have activity for the sake of itself, but we're still in this time where we're moving backwards. So just see if you feel a break from some of these things, just let yourself take it. The shavasana, or the quiet time at the end of a yoga set, is the time for integration. The 7th day of rest after 6 days of work. That we find these things all throughout life, but it's that integration period, that quiet period, that all of the other work really starts to make sense and integrate. And that's what I describe Saturn retrograde as. So these are the things most on my mind for Aries. I want to talk now about the sweet spots and the challenging spots in April. I'm calling the theme of April the general astrology transits that will affect everyone. Wrap it up. We still have a major focus on retrograde energy. We started this theme in December of 2016, and every month until now, we've had a personal planet retrograde and or the shadow period of a personal planet retrograde. So this idea of taking unfinished business and clearing it up so that when we move forward and we have these signs of moving forward, especially towards the end of April, when Mars gets into Gemini and the energy really starts to stir up, we'll have this feeling of where we're going, this long-awaited actual movement on an external level in the outer realms. But this month of April is a time to wrap it up. It's a time to resolve unfinished business. When I was planning these horoscopes, I was sitting one day in a place that had inspirational quotes flashing across the screen. And there was one that said, "There's more to life than increasing its speed." And that was by Mahatma Gandhi. And I really, really liked that as something to mention for this month, because the energy of retrograde is just the antidote to this overbusy, overscheduled world. So the more we can take stock of things closer to home, take stock of internal events. It's not that you can't say yes to opportunities that come in your external realms. Of course, it's fine to do things. Just know that new things that seem to come in a retrograde time often will change their terms compared to what you agree to, or they might be shorter term than you anticipate. That doesn't have to be a problem. That doesn't mean you can't activate it. It's just an awareness to have. But as far as intentionally doing something, it just lends itself to shorter term contracts, and it lends itself to wrapping up unfinished business. So we've got this theme that continues through April. Like I said, at the end of the month, you'll start to see things stirring up as far as like actual authentic outer movements coming soon. So I want to talk about some of the aspects that are going to be relevant this month. I'm going to give you a list of some of them, but you can get a more complete list when you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and sign up for my free email newsletter. I do a write-up for the upcoming month, and I send that out a month early as well, to give you more details of days that have good energy, days that have challenging energy, and how to, what you might expect with those things. But here's a more summarized list. We start out the month with a really great burst of energy with Mars in Taurus trining Pluto in Capricorn. Mars rules action and Pluto rules transformation, and a trine is the best aspect in astrology. So, you might see something come in that that could be notable, or you might use that time to try to get something done that's important. The same days, like April 5th, April 6th, Saturn's going to go retrograde. When an outer planet goes retrograde, there are different effects than when an inner planet goes retrograde, because outer planets spend a very long period of time retrograde, and inner planets, the ones closer to us, they go retrograde in a different type of cycle. They're not retrograde as long as these outer planets. But in any case, when Saturn goes retrograde, I see it actually as getting a break from Saturn's chop busting. Saturn is the disciplinarian, is the taskmaster. It wants you to do something, to be on point, to step it up, to work really hard, to work smarter, to do all of this stuff, have all these lessons in the signs and houses that it's moving through. When it goes in retrograde, it actually eases up a little bit, where your to-do list is more manageable, where you can integrate the lessons, where you get a break. So I'm excited about the Saturn in retrograde for all of us, and that will be from around April 5th or 6th, depending on your time zone, until August 25th. Then we have on April 7th. Now I'm giving you the dates that these happen, but we can feel the effects of planetary transits before or after the actual day that they happen. So just be aware of that. So on April 7th, we have this yearly Sun opposing Jupiter clash. And this time the Sun is in Aries and Jupiter is in Libra. So this theme that we had quite a bit of last month through major outer planet connections, we have another little burst of this. So Aries is me, Libra is we. So it's like someone's individuality is conflicting with something in relationship, or a relationship obligation, or an opinion of someone you're in relationship with. So that could bring a moment, in relationships where there's a clash there. On April 10th, we have the full moon, and that's at 21 degrees of Libra. This full moon is going to be conjunct Jupiter and square Pluto. All of the planets, all of the signs, all of the placements have a potential to have positive or negative effects. Sometimes we think about Jupiter as having positive luck-bringing effects, and that can often be true. When Jupiter is sitting next to something else, like an event like a full moon, it amplifies it. Full moons are intense already. So the completion, the fruition, something coming to be in the areas of Libra might be more intense or more expanded. So something notable with relationship, something, someone coming to an agreement, something coming to a closure, and some sort of, something with an interpersonal relationship will probably be the theme there. And the square to Pluto usually means that there's some sort of, person with some control or entity with some control that is not making the situation easier. Usually some sort of force that just seems like it's working against you. So I always like to leave a little room around the full moons because they're often emotional, and you might want to have the space to tend to whatever comes up there, whether it's a great positive thing coming to fruition that you want to be present for, or whether it's a challenge that's going to be emotional and you'll need a little time to recover. I think it's a good idea to leave some space around that full moon, which is on April 10th. On April 16th, there is a nice angle between Venus in Pisces and Mars in Taurus that could bring resolutions in relationships. So it's possible that that full moon accentuates this issue, and that maybe this Venus-Mars aspect could bring some sort of accord back into the picture. On April 17th, there's a beautiful angle between the Sun, which is in Aries, and Saturn, which is in Sagittarius. So this could bring a boost to long-term goals or something that you've been working on for a while, some sort of positive energy there. And then on April 19th or the 20th, depending on where you are, the Sun in Aries is conjunct Mercury. Now, the energy, or actually by then it's in Taurus. So it's the Sun in Taurus conjunct Mercury. So this is going to bring a dose of realism and or a dose of productivity. Whenever planets get together, they have an amplified effect. Sometimes the effects can be a positive experience, sometimes the effects can be a negative experience. The Sun amplifies, Mercury is communication or information or news. So I see it as a realism or productive, something bringing productivity around that time. Then on April 21st and the days around there, especially watch your security on all levels and other private and personal information, because Venus in Pisces is going to square Saturn and Sag, and Saturn can bring some hard lessons and want some details attended to. And Venus rules money and love, and Pisces is stuff kind of going on in the backdrop. So just, be cautious of your personal things in the backdrop, especially around that time. Then on April 24th, we have Mercury in Aries making this beautiful aspect to Saturn and Sag, just like the Sun did a few days before. So this can bring in good news or more boosts to long-term goals. There are some themes that I'm seeing, a theme that I'm seeing this month because of a lot of pretty nice Saturn aspects, are these boosts to long-term goals. Now, even though we're in the midst of something, this retrograde energy that's kind of like a short-term energy or a going backwards energy, but if you've been working over this time to see to details in the backdrop, you might see these Saturn aspects really start to light up, showing the work that you've done is actually getting somewhere. On or around the 26th, you'll feel that new moon energy, and that's going to be at 6 degrees of Taurus. New moons are times to make wishes. You can check out my video, Making Wishes Come True. If you just search for Annie, Making Wishes Come True, you can learn more about how you can use these new moon energies. But basically, you get 10 wishes at each new moon, and the more you align your wishes to the energies of the sign that the moon is in, the more easily the universe can bring those wishes into fruition. I also have a blog up on my website, anniehelpsyou.com, called Making Powerful New Moon in Taurus Wishes, that you can use specifically for this moon on the 26th. So Taurus energy rules money, finances, self-sufficiency, connectedness to earth, or eco-friendly types of things, earth sustainability projects. Also values. So anything along those lines will get a bigger boost when you wish for them around this time. Then around the 28th, and it's very close to this new moon energy, enough so that these energies could blend together, you could have electrifying experiences or information come in because Mercury is conjunct Uranus. And this is happening in Aries. So anytime you have something involving Uranus, you got to look out for surprises. When it's in Aries, which it has been and is going to be for a while, you have to guard your physicality, especially your head. So, something, you moving along and something bumping your head, the odds of that are increased during that time. So just watch yourself. Now, the odds are just as likely as information will bonk into your head, as opposed to the literal hitting into your head. Insights, sudden breakthroughs. It's a really great time for brainstorming. Whenever I see aspects like this with Uranus, I really love it for brainstorming on any topic. Then we close out the month, April 30th, with this energy of Saturn and Sagittarius with Chiron and Pisces. Chiron is the wounded healer. It's an asteroid that really shows us how we have deep levels of woundedness and how that shows up in our lives, and how we can make our weakest link become a blessing and a major strength in our lives. So at this time, there could be opportunities for great forgiveness to occur of self and others, and transcending the issue of feeling like a victim. So these are the things that are most on my mind for the general astrology for the month of April. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, where you can see more about my professional development courses. You can keep track of the registration for my astrology apprenticeship program, my coach certification and online business course. If you'd love to be a professional coach, help people reach their goals, that is one of the things I'm really good at, and I love to teach people how to help other people to do that. You can check that out. And I also teach my Creating Successful Online Business course if you would like to bring your business online and be free of your geography. So sign up for my email newsletter to get my monthly report. See what's new on my blog at anniehelpsyou.com. Have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month. Bye.